In our headlines on this Tuesday, July 22nd, here in South Korea, Deputy Prime Minister and Economy and Finance Minister Koo Yoon-chul and Trade Minister Yeo Han-gu are poised to meet with U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer on Friday in Washington. Meanwhile, here on the National Front, recovery operations are underway in rain-ravaged regions amid the sweltering heat, while relief assistance is being provided to those who remain unable to return home. And close to 7 million people applied for the government's consumption coupons this past Monday amid efforts by the Lee Jae-myung administration to boost domestic spending. South Korea's ministers of economy and trade are scheduled to sit down for 2+2 trade talks with their American counterparts in the U.S. on Friday. Our correspondent Kim Do-yeon starts off.
South Korea and the United States will hold 2+2 high-level talks on tariffs this Friday in the U.S. ahead of the August 1st deadline, with 25% tariffs set to start. Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Koo Yoon-chul confirmed the meeting on Tuesday following a meeting of external economic ministers behind closed doors.
With the August 1st deadline fast approaching, all relevant ministries are operating as one team, crafting a meticulous strategy and mounting a full-scale response to protect national interests.
This will be the first meeting between the two sides' top finance chiefs, with Koo having just been appointed to the position last week as Seoul seeks to lower the announced tariff rate. And at the request of the U.S., South Korea's trade minister, not its industry minister, will attend the talks alongside the deputy prime minister for this session, confirming the counterparts will be Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. For Minister of Trade Yeo Han-gu, this is his third trip to Washington since his tenure began. Leaving first on Tuesday afternoon, the trade minister stressed that the nation is currently in a very gray period, adding all scenarios, both best and worst case, remain on the table, so we will do our utmost to reflect our sensitive interest and maximize national interests. Meanwhile, Seoul's industry and foreign ministers are also seeking separate meetings in the U.S. with their American counterparts. The meeting and the announcement came just hours after U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, in an interview with CNBC, stressed that Washington will not rush into any deal. He said, quote, "The important thing here is the quality of the deal, not the timing of the deals," and added that their trading partners were told that the rates could boomerang back for the April 2nd levels. When asked whether the deadline could be extended again, Bessent hinted that even if the tariffs go into effect next month, negotiations could continue. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Also, here on the local front, rescue and recovery operations continue in rain-ravaged regions amid the sweltering heat, while relief assistance is being offered to those who remain unable to return home. Shin Ha-young has the latest.
Heavy rain that began last Wednesday continued for 5 days, but despite current drier conditions, casualties are still being reported. According to the Ministry of the Interior and Safety, as of 6 a.m. Tuesday, at least 19 people have been confirmed dead, while 9 remain missing nationwide. In Gyeonggi-do Province, the death toll has risen to 5 after 2 missing people were confirmed dead on Monday. 4 others remain missing. The latest confirmed fatalities were a man in his 70s who went missing in a landslide in Gapyeong-gun County and a man in his 50s who was swept away by a fast-moving stream in Pocheon City. Search efforts in Gapyeong, which were halted after sunset on Monday, resumed at 7 a.m. on Tuesday. Approximately 250 personnel are participating with equipment including helicopters and drones being deployed. The situation on site remains difficult with many roads closed due to flooding or damage. Several areas are also without electricity, water, or communication, making search efforts challenging.
I've lived over 70 years, but I've never seen floods like these. I don't even know who to talk to about it. I just feel like breaking down in tears. I really hope someone can help us.
In Sancheong-gun County in Gyeongsang-namdo Province, search operations for the missing have entered their 4th day after heavy rain caused serious damage. Authorities continued search efforts until 7 p.m. the previous day and resumed them at 6:40 a.m. Tuesday. As of 6 a.m., 10 people in the region have been confirmed dead and 4 remain missing. The adverse weather also caused the deaths of 3 people in Chungcheongnam-do province and 1 person in Gwangju City. In a separate case, a man in his 70s in Suncheon City, Jeollanam-do province, was found dead on Tuesday, 3 days after he was reported missing. Officials said the case is not counted as a disaster-related casualty as he had crossed a restricted area and approached the river on his own. Meanwhile, emergency repairs have been completed for about 44% of the more than 6,700 damaged homes, roads, bridges, and other facilities across the country. More than 14,000 people nationwide were forced to leave their homes due to the heavy rain, and about 2,500 of them have yet to return. Relief supplies, including emergency kits, blankets, temporary shelters, and essential items, are being provided to those affected. 신하영, Arirang News.
And President Lee Jae-myung has highlighted yet again the importance of tangible support for victims of the latest torrential rain and for those who lost their loved ones amid the deadly downpour. Our correspondent Yoon Jung-min reports.
The day after returning to his office from a flood-hit area in the south, the president began Tuesday's cabinet meeting by noting the suffering of the people from days of heavy rains and extreme heat.
그 망연자실하게 무너진 집, 떠나간 가족들을 생각하면서 아무 표정도 짓지 못하던 그분들, 국정을 책임진 대통령으로서 우리 국민 한 분 한 분이 겪는 그런 삶의 고통에 대해서 좀 더 예민해지도록 노력하겠습니다.
He once again urged his cabinet to spare no effort in helping those affected and searching for the missing, while speeding up the designation of special disaster zones. Special grants of 5.5 billion won, worth nearly $4 million, will be used to help several regions recover, including Gwangju and Gyeongsang-namdo province. President Lee Jae-myung went on to urge his cabinet to look for new approaches, which could involve leveraging technologies such as AI.
이번에 장마 폭우를 보면서 기존의 방식과 시설, 장비, 대응책만으로 대응에 한계가 있다는 생각이 좀 들었습니다. 좀 근본적인 대책을 새롭게 구성해 보도록.
This as 9 new cabinet members attended the meeting, including ministers in charge of finance, labor, and safety, signaling the start of a full-fledged new government.
Our economy faces very tough conditions. In the short term, we need to revive the livelihoods of the people and respond to tariff negotiations with the U.S. In the longer term, we should build the real Republic of Korea, real growth.
Another focus was on minimizing industrial accidents, for which the cabinet approved a revised law to disclose to builders if any such accidents occur at construction sites. In clear reflection of daunting tasks ahead, the president asked his new cabinet to be mindful of the work they do, calling them a touchstone for the future that greatly affects the lives of every person in the country. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
In other news, this past Monday, close to 7 million people applied for the consumption coupons that are being provided by the government to boost domestic spending. Moon Ji-young has more.
On the first day of applications for South Korea's livelihood recovery consumption coupons, nearly 7 million people, representing roughly 14% of the total eligible recipients, applied for them. According to the Ministry of Interior and Safety, the total amount disbursed on the first day exceeded 1.27 trillion won. Credit and debit card applications were the most popular ways of receiving money, accounting for 77% of the total. Among community-based gift certificates, mobile applications were the most frequent, with nearly 1 million applicants, followed by prepaid cards and then paper gift certificates. Some local governments have faced a shortage of paper-based, community-based gift certificates, which are crucial for the elderly, who often find the digital application process for card-type coupons challenging.
For me, living alone, I believe it will certainly help with my meals.
The significant uptake highlights the public's immediate interest in the government's stimulus initiative. At a cabinet meeting held on Tuesday, President Lee Jae-myung highlighted the government's commitment to ensuring the coupons do not exacerbate economic burdens.
소득 지원 효과도 있지만 더 크게는 핵심적으로는 소비 지원, 소비 회복이다라는 생각을 가지시고 각 부처 단위로 추가적인 소비 진작 프로그램을 준비해 주시기 바랍니다. 물론 이에 따른 물가 상승 압력이 있을 수 있는데 소비 쿠폰 지급하지 않을 때도 이런저런 핑계로 물가가 납득할 수 없는 정도로 자꾸 오르던데 물가 관리도 신속하게 또 엄정하게 임해 주시기 바랍니다.
The livelihood recovery consumption coupons provide at least 150,000 Korean won, or roughly $108 per recipient. People can apply online through their bank or credit card sites or through local payment apps. They can also apply offline at their local government neighborhood office. Online registrations are available through either mobile devices or computers. To prevent system congestion, the first week from Monday through Friday follows a day-of-the-week system based on the last digit of the applicant's birth year. Weekend applications are only available online. President Lee urged local governments to ensure that no eligible individuals are inadvertently missed, emphasizing the importance of minimizing any blind spots in distribution. 문지영, Arirang News.
Producer prices rebounded in June after retreating for 2 straight months in response to higher costs of agricultural and livestock products. According to the Bank of Korea on this Tuesday, last month's producer price index rose 0.1% on month, as agriculture, forestry and fisheries products gained 0.6%. Bank officials add the heat wave and heavy rain this July have also rendered prices for farm and seafood products less predictable. They also believe June's higher oil prices may affect this month's producer prices. North Korea will build a third 5,000-ton destroyer by October next year. The regime state media on Tuesday covered an event at Nampo shipyard this past Monday to mark the start of the warship's construction. October 10th has reportedly been chosen as the completion date, as it is the anniversary of the founding of the North Korean Workers' Party. Now, back in April, North Korea unveiled its first 5,000-ton destroyer, and a second destroyer of the same class was launched in June following a botched attempt in May. Seoul is currently hosting an annual forum that has brought together Korean language teachers here and those overseas to share their thoughts and techniques on enhancing the education of the country's native tongue. Our An Sung-jin was there.
Korean meets the world, and educators open the future. Under this theme, hundreds of Korean language educators gathered for the 17th World Korean Educator Conference. Hosted by the Ministry of Culture and organized by the King Sejong Institute, the conference brings together teachers working at the latter's institutes across the globe. This year's event welcomes around 160 Korean teaching professionals from more than 100 such institutes in 49 countries. The recipient of this year's Top Teaching Award was acknowledged for introducing a unique lesson plan integrating writing courses through social media, and a cultural and language exchange program with Korean students studying abroad.
Rather than exposing Korean just as a language, I hope to teach it as a bridge to communicate with the world.
The conference offers a range of programs designed to share the latest teaching methods and strengthen the expertise of Korean instructors, including practical workshops and curriculum discussions, and showcase innovative classroom techniques.
The demand for Korean culture is only going to increase, so we plan on expanding content that can be used in Korean teaching classes. We are also seeking to establish an online platform and network to share ideas and communicate, to firmly ground Korean learning education.
The 4-day-long conference will continue through the end of the week, with professional development sessions aimed at building global connections and advancing Korean language education worldwide. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
On the cultural front, exhibitions showcasing Korea's modern works of art are taking place at two branches of the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art. Our Cha Yun-kyung has a glimpse.
The Seoul branch of the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art, located in Jongno District, is presenting famous works of Korean contemporary artists from the 1960s to the 2010s, utilizing the museum's own collection. Starting with the renowned Kim Hwan-gi's work Echo of Mountain, audiences can also find Samlamansang, a giant installation by Kang Ik-jung, and also Floor by Seo Do-ho.
As lots of Korean artists donated their works, as well as some from the Ligan He Art collection. The quality of the museum's collection has been improved.
World-famous artist Baek Nam-jun's junk, which was shown at his personal exhibition at the Wolfsburg Art Museum in 1995, and Kim Soo-ja's Bottari from 2007 are being shown in public for the first time ever. The Gwacheon branch of MMCA, located in Gwacheon District, also presents works created in the first half of the 20th century, which encompass the Korean Empire to the Korean War, exploring how artists wrestled with the changes and the challenges of their times. Famous art that came out after the Korean War is also scheduled to be shown from the end of June, which will offer viewers a multi-layered introduction to current trends in Korean contemporary art through various eras. Cha Yun-kyung, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, on the medical front, Korean researchers have developed the world's largest bat organoid platform that is expected to enhance the study of zoonotic viruses. Our Ian Jin explains.
International outbreaks of viral infections in recent history have mostly originated from viruses transmitted from bats to humans. Most recently, there was the COVID-19 global pandemic, and before that, outbreaks like MERS, SARS, and Ebola. As most zoonotic viruses reside in bats, these nocturnal creatures are often referred to as virus reservoirs. Despite bats playing a crucial role in virus research, there has been a severe lack of experimental models based on bats. But a Korean research team has now developed a collection of bat organoid models spanning 5 species and 4 organ types. Organoids mimic the complexity of organs in a laboratory setting, and the Korean research team created organoids that replicate the lungs, kidneys, airways, and small intestines of bats, which are the key organs involved in viral infection and transmission. This model will help researchers comprehensively explore host pathogen interactions. To build these organoids, they used 5 bat species commonly found in Korea and Northeast Asia, including the Myotis macrodactylus and Rhinolophus ferrum equinem. While bat intestinal organoids have been replicated previously, this marks the first time that 20 organoids, 4 for each of the 5 bat species, have been successfully created, making it the world's largest biological model.
The significance of this work lies in the fact that we created organoids from a variety of native bat species. This can be effectively used not only for studying new viruses, but also for developing new treatments.
The team took the research a step further by developing a drug screening system using these bat organoids. When tested with treatments like COVID-19 therapeutics, this new system demonstrated faster and more accurate assessments of drug efficacy compared to conventional methods. This breakthrough is expected to accelerate research into the infection mechanisms and treatment development for future emerging and mutating viruses. The research findings were published in the prestigious scientific journal Science. Iun-jin, Arirang News.
And on the K-pop front, Blackpink's new song Jump has topped the Billboard Global chart. According to its agency, this marks the group's 4th time to rule the chart. Now what's more, Blackpink hit number 1 on the Billboard Global 200 chart for the 3rd time. These latest rankings make the team the first K-pop girl group to have the most top-ranking songs on both charts. Meanwhile, Twice's 4th full-length album called This Is a 4 ranked 6th on the Billboard 200 chart. Since 2021, Twice has seen 2 albums and 5 EPs enter the Billboard 200's top 10.
This is The World Now, bringing you the latest stories from around the globe. In Bangladesh, at least 25 people, mostly students, have been killed after an Air Force training jet crashed into a school in the capital, Dhaka. At around 1 p.m. local time on Monday, an F-7 BGI fighter jet suffered a mechanical failure shortly after takeoff from Kurmitullah Air Force Base and crashed into a building at the Milestone School and College campus. Students were attending classes at the time. Authorities confirmed the pilot and at least 24 people on the ground were killed. A major fire broke out due to the crash and more than 170 people, mainly children, were transported to hospitals with serious burns and injuries. The country's interim leader, Muhammad Yunus, ordered a full investigation and pledged support for the victims' families. A national day of mourning has been declared for Tuesday. In the United States, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth hosted Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at the Pentagon on Monday. They reaffirmed that the Mutual Defense Treaty applies to all Pacific waters, reaffirming their bilateral cooperation. Speaking after their closed-door meeting, Secretary Hegseth called the alliance storied and essential, highlighting that treaty obligations extend to armed attacks on Philippine forces, public vessels, aircraft, or Coast Guard in any part of the Pacific, including the South China Sea. The two shared aligned views on Chinese assertiveness in the contested South China Sea. President Marcos mentioned the earlier March visit by Hegseth to Manila, saying it sent a very clear message of continued cooperation and strengthened partnership under the Mutual Defense Treaty. Microsoft released an emergency fix on Sunday for a vulnerability in its SharePoint server that allowed hackers to carry out attacks on around 100 organizations over the weekend. Government agencies from the U.S. and Germany, banks, healthcare providers, and industrial companies were affected by the zero-day security flaw. Microsoft issued an alert on Saturday regarding ongoing attacks on its SharePoint servers, which are commonly used for document sharing and internal collaboration. Cybersecurity firms iSecurity and Shadow Server Foundation uncovered the breach on Friday and warned that the actual number of infected servers could exceed 9,000. The FBI and Britain's National Cybersecurity Center have launched investigations into the campaign. In Brazil's São Conrado Beach in Rio de Janeiro, the remains of a dead humpback whale were discovered on Monday. The whale was in an advanced state of decomposition, and authorities cordoned off the area as people gathered to witness the unusual scene. According to biologists and fishermen, the remains are those of a calf that may have been separated from its mother during migration, as dozens of humpback whales pass along the Brazilian coast around this time of year. Choi Ji-hee, Arirang News.
Today's Taeseo, which means the hottest day of the year on the traditional calendar. Heat wave advisories and warnings have been issued in most regions. Some areas in the west and east coast of Gangwon-do province and Gyeongsang-do provinces have been upgraded to a higher level with heat wave warnings. The temperatures will feel above 33 degrees Celsius in most regions tomorrow as well. With heat waves everywhere, the UV index will be high across the country. From the morning, very high levels of UV rays will cover the skies in the southern parts of the country. The whole country will see very high UV rays in the afternoon. Please be prepared when you're outside. Tomorrow morning will start warm at around 23 to 25 degrees nationwide. Daily highs will move up to 33 degrees in Seoul and Daejeon. Chuncheon and Busan, 32 degrees. Even though sunny days will continue this week, there will be frequent showers in some areas. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Thank you for watching. Coming up next is our daily panel session.